everyone, my name is Ayaan. Welcome back to my channel, Ayaan's Kids Learning Tube. And today in Ayaan's Kids Learning Tube, day 87, we are learning about 5 interesting maps of India that will teach you about the country. If you haven't seen my previous video, which was about 5 interesting maps about USA that will teach you about the country, I decided to do it for other countries of the world, like India. So today we are doing top 5 interesting maps of India that will teach you about the country. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. So as you can see, number 1 is the Indian languages. And as you can see, a majority of the Indian states speak Hindi. 9 out of 10 of them to be exact. And before we dive on any deeper, I just wanted to tell you the names of the 29 states of India. Or it might be 28, because I don't think Ladakh is a state, but let's count it. Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Uttarakhand, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Odisha, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Goa. There is Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, West Bengal, Sikkim, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh. I don't think Arunachal Pradesh will be part of India for longer because of China. So without further ado, let's get into the languages. Obviously, the most spoken language in India is Hindi. 9 out of 10 of the states speak it. Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. And then Assamese comes next. Only one state speaks it. You guessed it, Assam. Bengali is spoken by West Bengal and Tripuram. Gujarati is spoken by Gujarat. Kannada is spoken by Karnataka. But there is one more language that is spoken by 2 states. Yeah, there are only 2 languages in India that are spoken by more than one state. Number 1 is Hindi and number 2 is Telugu. Telangana and Andhra Pradesh speaks Telugu. Okay, so if you're wondering what New Delhi is the capital of India. So anyway, let's continue. I also think Gujarati is quite a spoken language. Yeah, that's the 3rd most spoken language. Yeah, I guess, even though it's spoken by only one state. Wait, actually West Bengali is also one language which is spoken by more than one state. 2 states. So without further ado, that's enough of map number 1. Now let's do map number 1, 3-question pop quiz. In 3, 2, 1. Now let's do the pop quiz. Question number 1. How many Indian states speak Hindi? 3, 2, 1. The answer is that 9 out of 28 states of India speak Hindi. Question number 2. What are the 2 states in India which speak Telugu? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Finally, question number 3. What are the 2 states in India which speak this language? West Bengali or whatever it's called. 3, 2, 1, 0. Yep, you guessed it. Tripuram and West Bengal. So without further ado, let's move on to map number 2 out of 5. In 3, 2, 1, 0. So as you can see, number 2 is coffee versus tea. Most Indians prefer tea over coffee. And as you can see, this is the points. If their points are below 0, that means they prefer coffee. If their points are above 0, that means they prefer tea. And it looks like almost all Indians prefer tea over coffee, considering all of them are orange. And sorry if we missed one state, that's Telangana, because we couldn't include the newest version. I'm very sorry about that. So, other than that, Andhra Pradesh has 82.2 points. Prefer tea. And some states in the south, like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Pondicherry, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, have very low ratings. Tamil Nadu has the least points with 59.8. Tamil Nadu barely prefers tea over coffee. There's not one single state which prefers coffee over tea. But we got the Jammu and Kashmir disputed territory figured out. So we didn't include Ladakh this time. There is one state which nearly drinks only tea. Yep. And you guessed it. It is Madhya Pradesh with 99.0. And especially Tripura, which nearly drinks only tea. Tripura, that's small, 99.9 points. The average India preference is 91.6 points. Almost all Indians prefer tea over coffee. Yeah. This was made in 2011. So, Andhra Pradesh, there was no Telangana. So, let's take a look at the capital within Haryana. So, it looks like Haryana has plus 96.9 points. And if you don't know, Telangana is where I was born, so I like Telangana. So, without further ado, let's do the coffee versus tea India pop quiz with 3 questions in 3, 2, 1, 0. Question number 1. True or false? Most Indians prefer coffee over tea. 3, 2, 1, 0. False. Question number 2. What were the points of Tamil Nadu? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer is 59.6. Okay, question number 3. In Tripura, how many points do they get on coffee versus tea? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer is 99.9. So without further ado, let's move on to map number 3. So as you can see, we are looking, number 3 is non-vegetarians versus vegetarians. Because we talked about drink coffee versus tea. Now we will see how India eats. Non-vegetarians in percent and vegetarians in percent. Okay, this looks good. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states have more vegetarians than non-vegetarians. And finally, we got the Telangana and Andhra Pradesh disputed territory figured out over there. So yeah, in Telangana, my birth state, there are 1.3% vegetarians and 98.7% non-vegetarians. Oh, don't get confused. My baby's birth state is Illinois in USA and my birth state is Telangana in India. Hyderabad, its capital. Yep, I was born in Telangana's capital. So without further ado, we also got the Jammu and Kashmir disputed territory figured out, with 31.45% of its population being a vegetarian. The state with the most vegetarians in it is Rajasthan, almost 3/4 of the population are vegetarian. And the state with the least vegetarians, which still has more vegetarians than non-vegetarians, is Madhya Pradesh, with 50.6% of its population being a vegetarian. We covered the north and south parts of India, but now let's take a look at the east and west. Starting with the west, Gujarat, 60.95% of its population is a vegetarian. 39.5% of its vegetarian is not a vegetarian. Now the final state that we are taking a look at is Assam, with 20.6% of its population being a vegetarian and 79.4% of its population not being a vegetarian. So without further ado, let's look at the smallest state. Yeah, we could not include that. So without further ado, let's do the 3-question pop quiz in 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so let's do the pop quiz. Question number 1. How many vegetarians are there in the state of Rajasthan? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. About 74.9% of Rajasthan's population is vegetarian. Question number 2. How many vegetarians are there in Madhya Pradesh? 3, 2, 1. The answer is about 50.3%. Question number 3. How many vegetarians are there in Telangana? 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer is about 1.3% of Telangana's population is a vegetarian. So without further ado, let's move on to number 4 in 3, 2, 1, 0. So as you can see, number 4 is if Indian states and union territories were renamed for countries with similar populations. This is not a joke. Countries like Rwanda, Madagascar, Libya, Sweden, Australia, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Pakistan, Egypt, Germany, Italy, Japan, Switzerland, France, Malaysia, Thailand, Colombia, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Peru, Egypt, Vietnam, Jamaica, Mozambique, Botswana, Latvia, and so many other countries can fit into just one country state's population. Jammu and Kashmir's population itself is equal to the entire country of Rwanda's population. And Telangana's population itself is equal to the entire population of the country of Saudi Arabia. France's population is equal to Karnataka's population, and Iceland's population is equal to this tiny island's population. Yep. And most surprising of all, Goa, the smallest state in India's population is equal to Switzerland's population. Yep, Switzerland's population. And so most surprisingly, Bihar's population is about 100 million, and Egypt's population is also 100 million. Egypt wouldn't have been on this list if half the country wasn't just empty. Okay, and also West Bengal's population is compared with Vietnam. Yep, you heard me correctly. Rajasthan, the biggest state in India's population, is equal to the entire country of the UK. Yep, the UK. So without further ado, let's do the population pop quiz in 3, 2, 1, 0. So let's do the pop quiz. Question number 1. What country is Rajasthan's population equal to? 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer. Okay. So let's do the pop quiz. Question number 1. What country's population is Rajasthan's population equal to? 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer is Rajasthan's population is about the same population as the UK's population. Question number 2. Question number 2 is what is Telangana's population? What is Telangana's population compared with the country with the closest population to Telangana? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer is Tatadan. You have to guess. Yes, Saudi Arabia. Question number 3 and the toughest question. What country is closest to the state of Jammu and Kashmir's population? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer is Rwanda. If you don't know, Rwanda is one of the countries in the East African Federation. If you didn't see the East African Federation video yet, check it out. So without further ado, let's move on to the final map. Map number 5 in 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so as you can see, the final map is similar if Indian states were renamed for countries with similar economies like GDP. So map number 5 is GDP. So let's start from the south this time. So it looks like Kerala's GDP is equal to the countries of Morocco's GDP. And Tamil Nadu's GDP is equal to the country of Denmark's GDP. And Karnataka's GDP is equal to the country of Portugal's GDP. Goa's GDP, an extremely small state, itself is equal to the 10 times bigger Moldova's GDP. And Hungary's GDP is the same as Andhra Pradesh's GDP. And Telangana's GDP is equal to the entire GDP of the country of Kuwait. And the richest state in India, Maharashtra, is the richest state in India, and it's equivalent to Norway's GDP. And now let's go to the center states. Ecuador's GDP is equal to the entire state of, you guessed it, Maharashtra's GDP. That's very surprising. Not surprising if you know that India is the 5th richest country in the world. And let's go north this time. Trinidad and Tobago's GDP. If you don't know what's Trinidad and Tobago, I will just show you a small map of it in 3, 2, 1, 0. Yes, that's a map of Trinidad and Tobago's GDP. Trinidad and Tobago. But it looks like over here in, I forgot the name of the state, Uttar Pradesh, I remembered it, is equal to the country of Iraq's GDP. And it's surprising to see that Goa's GDP is Moldova's GDP. I don't know how, but... And let's go a little bit south of Jammu and Kashmir. You will find Haryana. Yep, Haryana. No. Let's go a little east of Jammu and Kashmir. You will find Pakistan. I was just letting you know, okay? So in the state of, Maharashtra, no, I forgot the name of it. That state is equal to the country of Greece's GDP. Did you get everything? Good. Now let's do the pop quiz in 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, question number 1. Rajasthan's GDP is, what country is most compared with Rajasthan's GDP? 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer is Ukraine. Question number 2. What country's GDP is similar to the state of Jammu and Kashmir's GDP? 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer is Trinidad and Tobago. Question number 3. What country has a similar GDP to the state of Telangana? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The answer to that question is Kuwait. So without further ado, this video is quite short compared to the 5 interesting maps of USA video. I want to get it to the same length or longer than that. So let's do something to entertain you. I got the perfect idea. Important words. Yep. There are only 2 important words. Yep, 2 important words. No, 5 important words. 1 is coffee, a drink. 2 is tea, also a drink. 3 is vegetarian, a person who only eats healthy food. 4, non-vegetarian, a person who doesn't eat healthy food. And 5, yep, 5 is population. We actually have 6 of these. Population is the amount of people in a certain place. 6th one is GDP. GDP means the amount of money in a certain place. So without further ado, that only leaves one more thing to do. The outro. So I hope you like Ayaan's Kids Learning Tube Day 87, which was about 5 interesting maps of India that will teach you about the country. Stay happy, keep smiling, like this video, share this video with your friends, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell if you want to see more Ayaan's Kids Learning Tube videos. Wait, before we end the video, I can't thank you enough for 72 subscribers. So without further ado, I hope you like Ayaan's Kids Learning Tube Day 87. See you in the next Ayaan's Kids Learning Tube video. Bye bye for now.